The Joe Rogan Experience.
You know, that's what Bob Lazar thinks that spaceship that he worked on was made with. He thinks it was somehow 3D printed because it has no seams. You paying attention to this UFO shit? No? Good for you.
No, but I know you do, so I'm gonna ask because it's like this shit just, there's so much shit that's just coming out now. I don't understand what's the motive behind it just randomly coming out now.
Yeah, I'm super suspicious.
So what's the place? Area
51?
Area 51.
Yeah.
Like I'm assuming that shit has been real.
That's real. Yeah. But Area 1 was used for all sorts of training purposes. They had all sorts of programs that were running out there. I think that's where they developed the B-52. Is that where they developed it, in Area 51? They developed a bunch of different military technologies out there.
So nothing was true about the...
We don't know. We don't know. It's all just guessing about whether or not they were working on UFOs. But they were definitely working on other stuff, too. It's a legitimate military base.
So you think the video is real that's coming out? Or you think it's...
I think the videos are real. What they're filming, I don't know what that is. It could be that it's some super sophisticated U.S.-controlled drone that was built in some sort of program that's top secret, and it has some new super sophisticated propulsion system that they don't want us to know about. And so they pretend it's coming from another world. And they say, oh, these are off-world crafts exhibiting behavior that's impossible to replicate in America. I wonder. Because if they're talking about it like that, they're literally saying off-world, like, boy, I get suspicious. I get suspicious because they're not super honest about anything.
No,
why would they be honest about spaceships?
It just randomly happens now. You know?
Yeah, it's another nice distraction. It gets people all excited. The fake little Mexican UFO baby.
They're doubling down.
No, they're not.
They took it. This is from the MRI yesterday. They said it's one skeleton.
Where did they find that at?
Like they're trying. Other like American scientists are saying, well, then let people test samples of it or something. But
did they have images from the MRI?
I mean, I don't know that they showed those actual images, but the doctor that took it, he said right here, they belong to a single skeleton that has not been joined to other pieces.
Interesting. Footage from the team carrying out the tests shows one of the bodies bearing an elongated head, a small upturned nose, and two slanted eyes. The subjects look tiny when held up by the doctors examining the watching journalists. Huh.
Then this also is like this person says that I think it's the doctor has claimed that he talks to the Virgin of Guadalupe, and the extraterrestrials will not talk to her like they talk to him because she doesn't believe in them.
Maybe he does drugs. Maybe on the truth. Maybe he did talk to the Virgin of Guadalupe. So that's what it's supposed to be. I want to see what those images are like. They don't have them.
You ever notice how none of the image clear?
Yeah.
On shit like that
problem.
we really want to see.
Yeah, it's a real problem. I talked to this one guy, Christopher Mellon. He used to be an intelligence agent, and he said that they do have clear footage. It just hasn't been leaked, but that he's aware of it, and some of it is pretty mind-blowing, he said.
Damn.
Show me. Until I see it. I don't know, man. I feel like a dummy because I want to believe in it so bad. That's the problem. Because it's so fun. You know, the idea of spaceships coming here from another galaxy. That's amazing.
I don't know how fun, especially if they ain't friendly.
Well, if they weren't friendly, we'd already be fucked, right? I mean, if they've been coming here forever, supposedly, and they haven't hurt us yet, we're probably okay. You know, I think they're probably observing us. They're probably, if they are coming from another world, they're probably making sure we don't blow ourselves up. They're probably realizing that we're at this convergence of the evolution of the biology and then science and technology and its abilities that far surpass like the speed that the biology evolves. Like the biology evolves very slowly relatively compared to these computers. The things that they're able to do, these spaceships and the flying cars, it's like we have so much ability now, and we're still the same kind of creature. We're still humans, you know, but now we have this insane ability to blow up a whole country. Like we have nuclear bombs. We're all pointing them at each other, and there's enough to wipe out the whole world. Like if I was an alien, I'd be like, let's keep an eye on these crazy fucks. You know, these people are wild. Let's keep an eye on them.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm gonna keep my distance from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to fly to Mars. I don't want to do none of that shit. I just, man, live my life.
Yeah. It's going to be a long time before people get comfortable moving to Mars.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that's going to be, but that's a fucking commitment.
Didn't they have anybody recently go? Are they letting people go now?
No, they haven't let people yet. They've sent drones. So they have the Mars rover that goes around on Mars, but that's just a robot. But the idea is to have people on Mars. I think, didn't Elon say by like 2035 or something like that? He wants a manned trip to Mars.
That's crazy. You keep saying his name. He's the only doing whatever the fuck he want to do
Whatever
at
the
this
fuck he
point.
wants.
Yeah.
He's a wild fella.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
In another case, I saw it was a magpie, one of these birds known for how smart it is. There was a full, half-liter, plastic thing of water. It was just water, okay? A water bottle. And it was full. So the magpie goes over and sips out the water. Now, the beak is only, an inch and a half long or an inch at most, so it goes in until it can't reach the water anymore. So what does it do? It goes off to the side, gets a rock, just the right size, drops it into the water bottle.
It raises the level.
By displacing water. Here it is.
That is heavy.
You've got the video. There it is. And so it comes, and it goes back, and it gets another spoon, drops it in, and every time it drops it in, the water level rises, and it can drink more water. And it keeps doing this.
That's pretty amazing.
Okay? And so every time we study animals, they're smarter than we ever thought they were. So maybe for our own ego, we kept building ourselves up, saying how separate and distinct we are as humans in the animal kingdom, when maybe we're not as separate and distinct as we think we are. So now what's my broader point there about that I was making? I just distracted myself. I'm going to get back to UFOs on that.
We have high-resolution cameras in our pocket, and we take videos of things that are very unusual.
Exactly. So here's video of a magpie doing Bernoulli experiments on a water bottle. Who would have known that even happened, right?
Right.
Okay. You can't bring the bird into a lab and maybe you could, but I don't know that anyone did. All right. Here's my point. In the 1960s and 70s, there were many, many reports of alien abductions. People said, the aliens came to me, and they brought me in, and then they released me. Do you have any footage? No, they took my camera. Or no, they zapped my film, and now there's no image on the film. But there were countless stories. Well, now you can stream live from your camera anything that's going on in front of you. So if the aliens come and they want to abduct you, stream it. That would be instantly viral. Oh my gosh. The stuff that goes viral is much less than that. A kitten that jumps to the table and falls, that goes viral? You don't think a video footage of an alien is not going to go viral instantly? But there's none. So I'm just saying, I'm thinking if we were being visited, somebody would have some good footage. If we were being visited, I'm thinking maybe Google satellite images would catch spaceships that are not airplanes moving on our surface. If we were being visited, I'm thinking we'd have something better than fuzzy monochromatic video of objects that apparently reveal themselves only to Navy pilots, right? So
one of the reasons most of these sightings actually occur far offshore in the ocean. And the speculation is this is one of the ways. No, obviously, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on nice and tight. This is one of the ways that they monitor us. The best way to do it is to do it where they hold their base where no one is around, which is the ocean.
No, that's not.
They go in the ocean, they pop up, and they fly out.
It's not true. Yeah, nobody lives on the ocean. Yes, that's correct.
In the
but
ocean.
have you? It lives down undersea.
This is what the speculation.
Oh, okay.
Transmedium devices have been.
Okay.
These transmedium crafts have been observed.
If you are sure we are being visited by aliens and you don't actually have really good evidence, then you have to say that. Sure.
Well, know that
You have to say this is really happening, and they're observing us, and they're concealing themselves in this particular way. You have to say that. And so
Right.
that's your way to maintain your alien belief system by saying that. And I don't have a problem with it. Go get them. Go get them. But all of what has been put forth as evidence for aliens, to me, is insufficient evidence to excite my interest, my research interest, in devoting time to finding it out. But it definitely has excited other people. I have not stopped them. I am not saying defund the military program on UAPs, which of course is just updated UFO.
I
right?
know they like that now because there's like a stigma to
no,
UFO.
yeah, that's just that's a really transparent,
Sneaky way of
no,
doing
not
it.
even sneaky. It's actually, I think it's embarrassing. It's like maybe if we call them UAPs,
People
people
seriously.
would take them seriously. No, it's just
I'm a belief that they're probably akin to what we did on Mars. I don't think there's aliens in them. I have a feeling that these things are probes. And I feel like if you just think about biological entities flying through the universe, like why do that?
Right.
When you have sophisticated technology that's good enough right now from our like relatively primitive in consideration of what we think is possible a million years from now, right? But we could send that Mars rover around. We have a helicopter on Mars. I mean, there's multiple satellites flying through the universe right now taking images. We can do all that.
yeah, but
why
our
would we?
probes are not targeting the Martian military fighter pilots.
Because there's no Martian military. But if there were, we
They're
still would.
sitting out in the open.
Right, but if we had something like, are you familiar with one of the most famous cases was a case with Commander David Fravor of the Navy, who encountered with one or two other jets off of the Nimitz. They encountered this thing that was shaped like a Tic Tac.
Yeah. Mhm.
You know the story.
Everybody knows this, yeah.
This story. It went from, they tracked it going from 80,000 feet above sea level to 50 in less than a second. They have no idea how it moved. There's no visible propulsion system. It was blocking their radar. It was actively blocking tracking.
This is what their sensors
Yes.
told them.
Exactly.
Just be clear about that.
And then
you're saying information as though it is facts.
I'm stating information at Commander
I
Fravor
don't care.
related.
That doesn't matter. He's human, and we're all human here. But
I
as
understand
a
what you're
scientist, when you're presenting information, you don't say this thing was at 80 feet and it dropped to zero to sea level in 1 second or whatever it was the measure.
Yes.
That's the wrong way to report it. What you say is we have sensors that told us this is what happened.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a very important distinction.
Yes.
And so now, all right, your first question then, tell me about the sensors.
Yeah.
Okay. Are they double checked? Are they, you know, and so, but if you're just going to say there's this craft at 80,000, then everyone is thinking about a craft and no one is thinking about the sensor.
They actually saw eyes too. This is something that they actually got.
You can't see 80,000 feet.
No, the actual visual on the craft.
Okay.
They didn't see it at 80,000 feet, but this craft, it's not just something that was tracked with equipment.
Got it. But they did it at 80,000 feet.
Right.
That's my point. So by the way, this level of attention I'm giving to the detail and the reporting of information, we do that, we're all scientists, for much less
Oh, for sure.
than if we're being visited by intelligent aliens from another planet. Go visit it. Go to a scientific conference and watch the level of scrutiny we put on other people's work. If they have a sensor that has a new result, we'll say, did you calibrate the sensor? How long has the sensor been in use? I'll give you an example. Okay? Do you remember Planet X?
Yes.
The search for Planet X.
Nibiru.
That one, sorry, there were several nations of Planet X.
Right.
That was among them.
That was the
I'm
most
talking
wacky.
Talking about 100 years ago, Planet X.
100 years ago?
Well, there's several Planet X's, right? So Uranus was moving weirdly, nobody understood. Maybe there's a planet beyond it whose gravity we have yet to reckon in our equations. Boom! Discover Neptune. Wait a minute, Neptune is moving a little unfamiliarly. My phone is. Sorry about
Are you
that.
going to drop that thing and break it with no case on?
So, yeah, I got the 12, and yeah, I can still do this. It's
Yeah, I
not
get it.
dropping.
Last time you were here, you had a broken case. You're a broken back. Remember?
So, why are you distracting me?
Sorry.
I'm on a roll. And
Neptune.
So Neptune,
Gravity.
we're looking at Neptune's orbit, and it's not following Newton's laws. And this is odd. Well, we've been down that road before. Uranus didn't follow Newton's laws. We proposed another planet, and we found it. So Neptune's not following all the laws of gravity that from all the other planets in the sun. There must be a planet out there, a planet X. Let's look for it.
Is that Bode's law?
Bar is a fitting function that gets you. It got a little more attention than it deserved. It's just that planets, every next planet is about twice as far away from the sun as the previous one. So you just make a quick equation out of that. And,
that's it?
But it doesn't work for Mercury, and it didn't work for Pluto. And
I thought it was based on the mass of the planet.
no, not at all. Mass has nothing to do
Nothing to do with it?
And it predicted the asteroid belt, but the asteroid belt, there's no planet there.
Right.
Okay? And if you glue together all the pieces of the asteroid belt, you get something like 5% the mass of the moon. So, yeah, it gave us the location of the asteroid belt, but that's not a planet. So, Bode's law, it's fun to play with, but, you know, there are limits to how far you want to declare its relevance to the actual universe. So, we're out here in Neptune, and so I said, maybe there's a planet X. Everybody started looking. Including Percival Lowell, all right, back in the 1920s. And he says, I want to find planet X because something's perturbing Neptune. So he sets out looking for it, and he doesn't find it. Then he hires Clyde Tombaugh, and he dies, so he doesn't see the results of this. Clyde Tombaugh, he said, I can't find it either. I will just systematically search everywhere. Because if you think something's affecting you gravitationally, you ought to have some idea where it is to be tugging on you in that way. All right? That's not some kind of weird, it's like you're moving differently. Where must the thing be to tug on you so that you're moving in that way? Right. No one could find such a planet X. So Clyde Tombaugh said, it's got to be out there somewhere. I will systematically image the entire sky. All right? And you got to do it on multiple nights. If something's moving, you'd see it change from one picture to the next. He does this, discovers Pluto. Was Pluto where planet X was supposed to have been? Was Pluto the mass that planet X should have been? Everyone assumed it was. But over the decades, the mass of Pluto got lower and lower and lower as our estimates got more and more accurate. And then we found out that Pluto is 1/5 the mass of our moon, made of half ice. And this is why Pluto got into trouble later in the 20th century. It's not because we had some vendetta against Pluto. Pluto just never belonged in that list to begin with. That's really how you need to think about it. Anyhow, there's still the matter of Neptune's orbit. Pluto did not have enough mass to make those changes. So the search for planet X continued. So what happens? All right. 1993. A colleague of mine named Miles Standish. Okay? He's probably related to the Miles Standish on the Mayflower. He is an astrophysicist, looked at all of the data people were using to say Neptune's orbit was crooked. Looked at all the data. Then he found out that at one particular observatory, was it the gearbox or the timing mechanism, had just been cleaned or swapped out. Or there was some, because in the observing log, you write down everything because you just don't know. Okay, was a glitch in the current? Was there a bird fly over? You make notes of everything. One of the observatories, whose data were grafted together with the other observatories, had this sort of gearbox. I don't remember if it was a gearbox. There was some mechanical adjustment that was made. He said, I wonder if that had an effect on the positioning of this telescope. He moved those data from his analysis and fitted data to all the other telescopes that he had for the positions of Uranus. Of Neptune. When he did that, Planet X evaporated in that instant. In that instant. There was no Planet X. All the other data, when he connects across, removing the data from the one where the observing log said they did something different, Neptune fell right on to Newton's laws. And so since 1993, there is no Planet X. And Pluto, and were it not for that, we probably would have been a long time before we discovered Pluto because no one would have looked for it.
They found a like.
Let me just
Pluto
finish the lesson there.
Okay.
The lesson there is you have information that you think is correct from your sensors. This was an observatory, a fine observatory. And you're going to say, this observatory says Neptune is misbehaving. But then you learned there was something wrong with the data. You throw it out. So I'm trying to say this happens all the time in science. You have to be careful what you're analyzing before you declare what the thing measured is true, and then realign all your resources to address what you think is true when it might have just simply been a glitch or multiple glitches or anything. And we do this all the time in science.
Catch new episodes of the Joe Experience for free only on Spotify. Watch back catalog JRE videos on Spotify, including clips. Easily, seamlessly switch between video and audio experience. On Spotify, you can listen to the JRE in the background while using other apps and can download episodes to save on data cost, all for free. Spotify is absolutely free. You don't have to have a premium account to watch new JRE episodes. You just need to search for the JRE on your Spotify app. Go to Spotify now to get this full episode of the Joe Rogan Experience.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Did you see the new footage? There's new footage that Jeremy Corbell leaked. There was, in 2021, there was a UFO that hovered over an Air Force base.
Stop. What? What's out?
Fucked up too.
I'm taking it. I can't. Dude.
There's a lot going on here.
Show the pictures of the UFO. These guys, 50 guys observed this thing. Corbell, dang, I'm trying to process everything. He can't help himself.
Corbell chili.
Corbell chili?
Hormel.
Oh, Hormel.
That's a stretch.
There you go. I was like, am I missing that one? Is that a cultural reference that I'm not aware
I'm
of?
not sure which
James
exactly
Corbell?
Thing is it like, because there's articles about him from recent.
Ah,
but,
he's
one of your security guys.
That just came out like a day ago.
I
think
above that house?
Instagram.
That's definitely it.
Check his Instagram.
Cardi B shows up to school lunch.
Whatever this thing is, they've got 50 different people. I think he actually released photos of it.
Pull it up. JMO.
Does it? What about his?
Come on, dude. That's
Jamie,
it's never any good evidence. It's
Instagram.
like 3 lights a billion miles away.
That's why it's fun.
Fair.
If you got to really be all in.
Fair.
I don't want to be all in. I like to be like half in.
Hey, look at that background.
I think that's it. Where you see weaponized. That's the craft. That's it. So, okay, so it's a video. So this thing, what this thing is, they photographed it half of a football field size, and it was hovering over this military base, and then it just disappeared, just jetted off.
Interesting.
50 people saw it.
50?
Yeah.
Who are these people?
Some military guys.
Who are these people?
It's the whole thing it's the most exciting thing to me. It's the most fun. Out of all the stupid shit that I like to concentrate on,
you think they would
illuminate the crap, but when the flares got close, the UFO vanished into thin air. Whoa. So they shot flares at it.
That's probably just a liner.
But why would it hover in the thin air? Why would it in the thin air? Only magic does that.
Way.
They used magic.
Oh, what? I'll run with that.
I'm telling you, that's nothing.
I mean, vanished in the air.
You're dreaming.
It probably just shot off at an insane rate of speed, like they always do.
Yeah.
Stop. That's
how many people would love a full invasion?
How about us? We go camping. We're doing mushrooms. Aliens land.
I'm dying for a probe up my ass.
More. I think that's like corded phones.
I think they got what we're looking for.
I mean, we have MRIs. Why the fuck alien need a finger in your ass?
Good point. Yeah. That's fun.
True.
Something to tell the friends back at the farm.
Yeah, all those guys that's probed were definitely just sexually assaulted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very repressed memories.
Yeah.
They just fucking alien got in there.
Some fucking
uncle alien.
And then left you right in front of that gay bar?
Yeah.
And they're
sons of bitches?
No, they're connected.
Somehow.
I can't believe the sons of bitches did that.
Son of bitches.
This guy was on podcast.
Yeah.
This is the dude Travis Walton from that movie Fire in the Sky. Did you ever see that movie Fire in the Sky?
Yeah.
He looks like the
it's
My
all
Pillow.
about his witnesses. They saw him get hit with some sort of a beam. They saw a craft land. They were loggers. This guy jumps out. He's a crazy fucking logger. It goes running towards it, and he get with his beam. He falls down. They drive off. They get like, half a mile down the road, and they're screaming at each other. We got to go back. We got to go back. So they turn around and go back. They go back to the spot, and he's gone. 5 days later, the guy shows up with this crazy story. He shows up, makes a phone call. He calls the police, calls his family. by that craft, and they fixed him. They said his body was broken from the
What?
beam, and they took him aboard, and he had these encounters. And there was a movie called Fire in the Sky.
shit.
Why'd they beam him in the
Whoa.
first place?
Fuck.
That's it. You know, they took a lot of liberties with the story.
Wow.
But was it D.B. Cooper? Is that the guy who was in it?
Oh, I know
D.B.
that
Sweeney?
guy. That's a different
D.B.
guy.
Sweeney. Yeah, D.B. Sweeney.
Whoa.
Right.
He's the actual
He's the
guy.
guy that jumped out of the
Oh
plane
yeah,
with the money.
money.
They don't know who that guy
That
is.
guy's
either.
badass.
That died immediately.
Two broken legs. He was eaten by dogs.
Still the woods with no parachute, and he survived, I guess.
The craziest is the cows that lose all their skin.
Oh, no.
he
You're
skinned?
talking about cattle mutilations.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't know what the
No
fuck that is.
explanation.
Turn him inside out.
They cut organs out with
Pull it up.
laser precision. They removed the blood from the body with no visible
chupacabra.
method.
What? Chupacabra.
No, there's
chupacabra.
weird stuff that does
Chupacabra.
happen to cows.
What about images appear in
Crop
fields?
circles.
Yeah. What the fuck is that?
Those are weird.
Talk about that anymore.
A crops.
I think people gave up on that.
Those are dude. Yeah. What
I think people gave up on
Escape
Yeah, they
guys.
gave up on them. They
I
were
don't hear about
beacons.
that anymore.
No, you don't?
Definitely dudes were doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also some of them were a little more interesting.
Yes.
Some
More
of them
intricate.
there was also they were folded into place in a way where it seemed like a great deal of energy was in the husk
Yeah.
or the
Autistic.
stalk. No. There's some that they
power
were
of
trying to
autism.
say like they had. There was a way that you could do these things. It's very clear when someone did it that way.
Wow.
Yeah, crop circles were by supernatural forces named Doug and Dave. Intricate patterns carved in fields across England in the 1980s were a viral phenomena long before the interest fed us such prankster curiosities daily. Yeah. The people that believe that some of them they have something else to them.
But what about the cows? Because they would
That's a good
pull
point.
the
But this
blood
is a
out.
different.
Chupacabras.
This is a different
wow.
thing. Not one drop of blood. Cattle mystery mutilated.
Not one
organ.
drop of
Yeah.
blood.
That's the weird one.
Just sounds like faulty reporting when they found the cow.
Yeah,
I think that's
sucked
more
out.
likely
Look at
than
it.
an
Sucked
people
alien.
have
out.
done things.
Yeah, that is more likely.
People have done things.
Eastern
Dragged
Orient.
Body parts precisely removed. Like someone has cut the organs out of that cow.
A weird
Now, if
dude
it was
is
a
more
person that's doing it, but
Yeah.
the way they're doing it is very unusual.
No blood? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why the fuck aliens would do that. It doesn't make any sense, but it does make
What do
sense.
you mean?
They're weird.
They want stuff. They want to learn.
A lot of people lean
It's
towards
humans.
aliens.
But why would they do that?
The same fucking alien would.
I know blood.
You want the cow blood?
Why would an alien want cow blood?
To
Imagine-
learn about our creatures.
About cows?
Studying
Yeah.
us.
Start somewhere.
Studying us like
Imagine
butterflies.
if it was demons, but they couldn't quite.
boy.
They couldn't
Here we go.
quite. They didn't have the authority to go after people yet, so they let them have a few cows every now and then just to keep it satisfied.
it out,
'Cause
Joe.
they
You're
live for-
giving me
they
the
live for
willies. Like the
thousands of
dragons?
years. They live for thousands of years. These demons,
And they have to
They really
feast.
just want to torture
They gotta
humans
feast.
and gut them and suck their blood out and leave their fucking
Little Nas
skinned
X.
carcasses.
Well, Max is gonna come up here. Give me a
yeah, they
fucking
always talk
lap
about
dance,
natural.
dude.
What about
Better
the
not make me
supernatural?
come.
Yeah, we're blaming it on aliens when it's demons.
It's just demons.
Demons to sing. They're like, okay, go cow, you fucking freaks.
Practice
got
for
that
the
right.
invasion.
They just go practice for what they're going to do to us. Once they get the green light, once people are like
Too bad.
inexcusably evil,
Yeah.
once there's just like
But they're
every
like Hitler.
every country is ruled by evil dictators. Well, like probably that close.
That close. A little more sodomy.
A little more.
And then
than-
unleashed.
Then we know that Satan's real.
Sodom and
Well,
Gomorrah.
we're going to get some good comments after this one. The Satan is real, people. Golan writes, reports of cattle mutilations began in 1973, mostly in the West and Midwest. It was often small-scale ranchers who reported them. When local law enforcement agencies investigated, they frequently found that the cow's ears, eyes, rectums, and sex organs had been cut away with surgical precision. According to the newspaper reports, more than 10,000 of the incidents occurred by the end of the decade. It's demons.
Demons. You're
Imagine
fucking
it really
right.
was.
Dude, you're fucking
Damn.
right. It's
They just-
demons.
they
Jamie,
just-
bring up chupacabras.
They just have to practice every now and then. They
Demon
just-
Wayans.
They want to do it to people, but
Yeah, right.
It's just you're a machine.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
The 2017 New York Times article, in my mind, made that was a big shift because when the New York Times is reporting about it and saying that this is major news and this is real and there's video evidence that they can't ignore, when you talk to high-level people at the government and people like Commander David Fravor, who had that infamous spotting off of the coast of San Diego, when you hear about people like that that are very reputable, it starts to change the conversation in a lot of people's eyes.
Right. See, it used to be that one person would see something in the sky and say, look, Martha, look, there's something up there. Now things have changed. Now we have multiple sightings by multiple modes. That is the gold standard for looking for these objects. Not just one person, but several people that are reputable. Not just radar, but visual sighting, infrared sensors, telescopic evidence. Now we have multiple sightings by multiple modes. And so the burden of proof has shifted. It used to be the burden of proof was on the people who believed in UFOs. They saw something, prove it. Now the burden of proof has shifted to the Pentagon, to the military. Now they have to prove that these aren't extraterrestrial. And so I think there's been a sea change in the last just several years. 50 years ago, there was a congressional hearing, and it was coming out of Project Blue Book. And there was a lot of laughter and a lot of jokes about little green men in outer space. 50 years ago, that's the way it was. Now, things have changed. People are looking at, are they a threat militarily? What kinds of sensors do we have? What kind of metrics do we have? We now have, frame by frame, an analysis of these objects. These objects travel between Mach 5 and Mach 20. That's 20 times the speed of sound. These objects can zigzag, and we can measure the G-force inside this object. The G-forces are several hundred times the force of gravity. In other words, any living person's bones would be crushed by these objects, so they're probably drones of some sort. These objects can drop 70,000 feet in a few seconds. Think about that. It can drop a tremendous distance in just a few seconds, and they can go underwater. This is something that we didn't realize before, but yes, they can actually go underwater. And they also move without creating an exhaust or breaking the sound barrier. So these are things that we can now document frame by frame looking at these videotapes.
So, what was the shift? And how did you feel about UFOs, say, like 10, 15 years ago?
Well, this giggle factor, and it's the third rail, of course, of your scientific reputation, if you believe in these things. But the evidence is accumulating over the last several years. Now, when I was first approached by Carolyn Corey, the producer of this film, A Tear in the Sky, I was skeptical. I said to myself, come on. I mean, 5 days? 5 days you're going to look for flying saucers in the sky? What happens if the aliens are camera shy and they don't show up in 5 days? So I was pleasantly surprised when they actually found something. They actually have photographic evidence of objects that can gyrate just the way the Pentagon has said. And so we now have a sea change. A center of gravity has changed with regards to looking at these objects. We no longer simply look at one individual seeing something in the sky. No, we demand hours of videotape, multiple sightings by multiple modes. That's the gold standard now.
So what do you think is happening? Do you think that this is something that maybe another government from another country has created that far surpasses our abilities, or do you think that this is coming from somewhere else?
Well, the Pentagon has listed, I think, 5 different options. One option, of course, is that they're weather balloons or something that's an artifact of our space program. Maybe a piece of rocket that is plunging back into the Earth's atmosphere. That's one category. Another category is anomalous weather events. They happen, and they have to be looked at very carefully. But the last option is other. That is not just the Russians or the Chinese, because these objects apparently can gyrate faster than what the Chinese and the Russians can muster, but it opened the door to the possibility of other. They didn't specify what other was, but you can fill in the dots yourself. Now, one possibility for other is hypersonic drones. We see that in warfare now. The Russians, in the Battle of Ukraine, is actually using hypersonic drones to hit targets inside Ukraine. To be hypersonic, you have to go faster than Mach 5. Anything faster than 5 times the speed of sound is called hypersonic. And so the Russians are now fielding hypersonic drones in warfare. But you see, this is something just in the last few months. These sightings, they go back decades into the past, with objects executing these gyrations decades ago. And that's why you have to take them seriously.
So the Commander David Fravor event that we talked about off the Nimitz, that was 2004. Do we have an accurate understanding about military capability in terms of like drones and propulsion systems from 2004? Or are there things that are classified that we are not going to have access to? Like, is it possible that, 18 years ago, they had the capability to have a vehicle or a drone move this way, that just that information has just not been released?
2 years ago, the United States military admitted that it stopped working on these hypersonic drones. Why? They're unstable. They zigzag. And that's why the Russians have put a premium on this technology to evade our Star Wars program. The Russians wanted a rocket that can maneuver and therefore outwit a stationary Star Wars system designed to shoot down these drones.
Right.
So that's why the Russians have put a priority on this, and they've now fielding it in warfare. We actually see them as a military weapon. 2 years ago, the United States military stopped its program. They're too unstable. They were not reliable, and it was not worth the amount of money to put into it, because the military was invested in the Star Wars program, not the anti-Star Wars program. But because Vladimir Putin announced the hypersonic drones, then the United States military said, oops, nope, we have to get into the game too. So now the United States is also working on hypersonic drones, as well as the Chinese. So the Chinese, the Russians, and the Americans are all working on these things. But you can see how primitive they are. We're talking about objects that defy the known laws of aerodynamics with a technology beyond what we have today. And so that's why people are scratching their heads. Whose are these things if they're not the Chinese, the Russians, or the United States?
So one of the main points of contention is the lack of visible propulsion method, right? There's no, essentially, there's no heat signature. There's nothing that we understand to be present that normally exists when something is going at a tremendous rate of speed.
That's right. Not only that, these objects create no sonic booms. When you exceed the sound barrier, you create a gigantic boom that is then shatters windows and can be heard miles around. These objects can effortlessly break the sound barrier and not create a sonic boom. And they don't create any exhaust. We don't see any exhaust trail from these objects. So either they're an optical illusion of some sort, or they have a set of laws of physics beyond what we can muster. Now, if they are an optical illusion, if an object were to move in front of your eyes, traveling at a very slow velocity, but you don't know how far they are away, you may think that object is very far away from you, traveling at enormous velocities. So a weather balloon drifting in front of your eyes can simulate an object traveling at hypersonic velocities if you think that weather balloon is far away from you. So how do you tell the difference? Well, you look at wind patterns. It turns out that many of these sightings, these objects defy the direction of the wind. If they are weather balloons that you confuse with a flying saucer, then they would be moving with the direction of the wind. But these objects do not do that. These objects can go against the direction of the wind. Not only that, but we have multiple sightings. If an object is very, very far away, if an object is close to you, but you think it's far away, then it's traveling at an enormous velocity, while it's actually just drifting in front of your eyes. How do you tell the difference? By having multiple sensors: radar, infrared sensors, visual sighting. Then you can tell how far this object is away from you, and then you can say that, nope, it's an optical illusion. Well, we do that now. We have multiple sightings of these objects. By radar, we know how the velocity, the distance. Each time it comes out to be real. And so that's why we're scratching our heads. Who has this capability? And the answer is, we don't know.
Is there anything that's theoretical that you're aware of that could be applied, like from some other planet or some other galaxy or whatever, that something that maybe we have theorized that could be responsible for the way these things are able to move?
You know, when I talk to my friends who are physicists like myself about these things, they sort of like laugh, giggle, their eyes roll up to the heavens, and they say something very simple, that a rocket using conventional means would take 70,000 years to reach us from the nearest star. Therefore, these objects cannot exist. 70,000 years for a Saturn rocket traveling at 25,000 miles per hour to go from a nearest star to the planet Earth. That's why most scientists disregard these sightings, because they defy the laws of Einstein.
But isn't that kind of like saying, like, you know how long it would take you to get a horse from Los Angeles to Sydney, Australia? Isn't that kind of like saying that?
Exactly. And that's why I say that assumes that these aliens or whatever are maybe 100 years more advanced than us. But open your mind to the possibility that they are 1,000 years more advanced than us. 1,000 years is nothing compared to the age of the universe.
Right.
The universe is about 13 billion plus years old. That's how the age of the universe. And so the age of a civilization, just a few thousand years ahead of us, that is just a blink of an eye to the universe itself. And once you go to higher energies, the laws of physics begin to break down. The laws of Einstein and the laws of the quantum theory break down at something called the Planck energy. Why is that important? That's what I do for a living. I work on something called string theory, which lives at the Planck energy. The Planck energy is 10 to the 19 billion electron volts. That is a quadrillion times more powerful than our most powerful atom smasher outside Geneva, Switzerland. Any civilization that could harness the Planck energy would be able to become masters of space and time. Space and time as we know it become unstable at the Planck energy, which is far beyond anything that we can muster here on the planet Earth. So we physicists theorize, how advanced do you have to be to access the Planck energy? Well, we rank them. The Kardashev scale says that there could be type 1, type 2, or type 3 civilizations. A type 1 civilization is maybe 100 years more advanced than us, to maybe 1,000 years, sort of like Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon. They control the weather. Volcanoes, earthquakes, anything planetary, they control. That's type 1. Then there's type 2. Type 2 is stellar. They harness the power of an entire star, like Star Trek. Star Trek would be a typical type 2 civilization, where they manipulate entire stars. Then there's type 3. Type 3 is galactic. They roam the galactic space lanes. They play with black holes, like the Empire of the Star Wars series would be a typical type 3 civilization. Then the next question is, what type do you have to be to harness the Planck energy? The energy at which space and time become unstable, where wormholes may develop, gateways through space and time, portals through empty space. You have to be type 2 or most likely type 3. Then the next question is, how long will it take before you become type 3? Well, we are maybe 100 years away from being type 1. We're maybe a few thousand years from being type 2, and we're maybe 100,000 years from being type 3. And 100,000 years is nothing on a galactic scale. The age of the universe is, as I said, over 13 billion years old. And so once a civilization reaches the Planck energy, that is a type 3 civilization, space and time become your playground.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
What do you think the UFO phenomenon is?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, that there are a lot of different varieties of it. But when we look at, like we were looking at the Francis of Assisi and the kind of historical things and the abductions and things like that, I think that it's been around for a long time, and that these are things that are in communication with us. So what I do in my book, both the books that I wrote about this is I talk to people who I think represent thousands of people. So each person in the book represents thousands, if not more, maybe many thousands of people who have had experiences and the ways in which they interpret them. So all of the people seem to have had experiences where now what they want to do is they actually want to work for justice in different ways. Like Jose, the veteran in my book, he's working with young people and helping them deal with being addicted to social media and things like that, and helping them get through life, which is really hard right now. And that's what he's doing. And then you look at Dr. Whiteley, right? So she's working in the Space Force. She's trying to, help people deal with the fact that they're seeing things that, that could down planes and things like that. And she's helping people talk about that. She's helping people. Each person is somehow doing what I'm suggesting that I think is an out, this kind of structural injustice that we see. So I think that this is a transformational thing without the drugs, is what's going on. Like some kind of massive experience that people are having, and now it's getting out, and people are being able to talk to each other through Reddit communities and, different types of social media. So it is, we did see, religions when they become viral at one point. We've never seen it in an age where we have digital technology, but this is what we're seeing now.
What do you think the physical objects are?
Well, okay, so this is something that's very interesting. We just looked at the Shroud of Turin. I believe that there are these, I would call them, and this is just my own non-scientific term, interdimensional objects. They're objects that have characteristics of our dimension and some other dimension.
So some other dimension has the capability, or something from some other dimension has the capability of transporting a physical object into our realm.
Or even emptying onto a physical object. Yeah.
How so?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think
what
that's
do you
what...
mean by imprinting onto
So
the
Shroud
object?
of Turin,
Okay.
we see the imprint of, the image and...
If it's real.
Yeah, if it's real. But it's an anomalous object. So we do have, from Gary Nolan, engineered objects that we don't know how they're engineered, but they definitely look like they're, it's off planet. I would call the kinds of things that we see in the historical record interdimensional types of things. Now, how? I don't know, Joe. Okay, so I just don't know. But I do think that scientists in the government know that these things exist, and they would like to figure it out. And so part of disclosure, the disclosure movement, is outsourcing this and trying to get as many people as possible to help in figuring it out.
What do you think when they use the term donations? What do you think the purpose of that is? If there is an object that is purposely released into our, like I'm sure you're aware of cargo cults,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
So with cargo cults, for people that don't know, there's been some islands during World War I and World War II where planes landed there and they left. And these people, they created these statues of these planes and they worshiped them. And they wanted them back. Yes.
Yeah, because they got food and
yes.
all kinds of wonderful things from the planes.
Right. And
yeah. But they thought of them as deities.
Right. The same way we would think of something from
like
somewhere
this,
else.
Yeah. Yeah. So that in my field has been called the cargo cult, the UFO cargo cult, right? And obviously Tyler and James view these parts as they called it the donation site, right? So giving it the idea
is that just one theory?
Yeah, that's just one theory.
Other theory is that there's a biological organism that encounters a lightning storm and it actually crashes and there's physical bodies.
Oh yeah, there is that. Yeah, there's that.
Yeah,
going
that's one of the things that Grush talked about and some of the other people talked about, that there are biological things that have been recovered.
Well, what impressed me about what he said was that he used the term biologics. And I actually know that term because that's the same term that Tyler was talking about when he was creating materials in anti-gravity spaces on space shuttles and such. So I was wondering, because David Grush does get his information from people allegedly in the programs, but he's never seen these materials that I know of.
I think he has firsthand experience that he was not able to talk about.
Okay.
That he's alluding to.
Okay.
But this is recent, and he's been very careful about how he releases this information and what he's able to release and not able to release. And that I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Really?
So I mean, I've seen any bodies, nor have I seen intact craft, but I also have had, now remember, I don't have a clearance like he has, so I can actually talk about what people have told me. I have had people tell me that, yes, Diana, there are intact craft. I don't know. I mean, maybe. So, I don't know, Joe.
Have you studied Bob Lazar?
Okay, yes, I am always asked about Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but I can tell you that people that I've met who are associated with the programs tell me that he's right. Now I know his background and I know, all the things. I don't have an opinion one way or the other, but I can also say that a lot of times people with very disturbing backgrounds, who could be easily discredited are given information and shown things and told things.
Well, I would think that that's sort of like a little escape clause.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, the guy's obviously a genius and was obviously a propulsion expert. He put a fucking jet engine on a Honda in like the 1980s. He's a fascinating guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And, he claims that there's some element that exists in other places in the universe, which leads me to believe, not even to believe, but so here's the question. Are some of these things from other planets? Is that also in the equation? I mean, just because something is traveling interdimensionally, we do know that there are an infinite number of planets in the universe. I mean, we have no idea how many of them are capable of supporting human-like life or some other kind of life or an infinite number of varieties of life. And if that life can do what we've done and get to some part of its progression where it's capable of creating what we're calling artificial intelligence or super advanced technology, why wouldn't it come here?
Yes, I'm not discounting ET.
So that there too.
I think so, especially because of the ways in which the materials are being manufactured off planet, like the ones that we just saw. And that was information when I met Tyler 2014, and now it's a full-on thing that's happening, right? So it's a supercharged program of creating things that will help us off planet. I mean, certainly then. Yeah, I think so. I mean, but I don't know.
Right.
So I have to just be honest.
So it might be a bunch of different things happening all at the same time. Dimensionally, extraterrestrially, something from a distant galaxy that's figured out some new method of propulsion that's beyond our imagination that can visit, and then also things that are coming here from other dimensions.
Yes. And even recently somebody had, I can't say anything. I say I'm sorry. I don't want to be that person who goes on your show and says,
okay.
I can't say that.
But
I probably, most likely there are, if there's crash retrieval crash retrievals here on Earth, perhaps there are in space as well.
Do you, when they talk about inventions that emerged post-Roswell, that's one of the points of speculation, is that we have back-engineered something and that this led to the creation of fiber optics and a lot of other technologies that seem to emerge after that time.
Yeah. So this question was prominent in my mind in 2012 when I met Jacques Vallée. So I was already aware of his work, even as a person who hadn't studied UFOs or even believed in them. Jacques Vallée is just one of these people, right, that you come across his work and he's fascinating. So I thought it was strange that not only was he a person who was, pre-engineered ARPANET, right? He was on ARPANET, which is pre-internet. He was creating that. at the same time as being obsessed with UFOs and doing, being a ufologist. These things seemed that they had to be together, right? There was something that, what's going on here? So, and I'm in touch with him often. And he says a lot of things that are rather cryptic, but sometimes I ask him specifically, was what you were doing on ARPANET related to back-engineered UFO parts? And then he'd say something like, there are many secrets in Silicon Valley. Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's cryptic. He's kind of difficult to have a conversation with publicly.
Well, it does a lot. I guess there are lots of secrets in Silicon Valley,
Of course.
which is where he lives.
Yeah. Another thing that was really fascinating about your book was you were talking about how much religion he studied.
Yes. Yeah. That was really interesting. So in the book, what I do is I uncover not just him, but Alan Hynek. They were friends. And they were both Rosicrucians, which is a form of, he might not like me to say this, but it's a form of mystical Christianity in a sense. But a lot of Rosicrucians don't view their roots as Christian. They look at it as Egyptian. But it's basically, it's an esoteric tradition. And it involves meditation. I think it most likely involves this thing that you and I have been discussing in the whole talk so far is the pineal gland thing, the access point, because both of them believe in this kind of life, this meditating and things like that. And so I included references. Everything I say in my books, by the way, I pass to the person that I'm writing the chapter about. So everything that I said about Jacques, I gave it to him beforehand, and I said, are you okay with me saying this publicly? And so it passed all the tests. And I also talk about going to his apartment and seeing his library, which is an amazing library. And he has stained glass from Chartres Cathedral. And Chartres Cathedral is a special place for Rosicrucians, like a special place of presence of the sacred. So, and he actually did those himself. So he learned how to do stained glass from people at Chartres, by the way. And yeah, just amazing. And he had a lot of books on angels and fallen angels in that library, like almost like it was almost like going into the Vatican archive, going into this place, because these looked like first editions or close. So, really, really old books about this topic.
Fallen.
I was pretty shocked when I went. We were going to have lunch and talk about the crash site and maybe talk about, what I learned from Tyler and that kind of thing. And we went to lunch, and then he said, do you want to see the library? And I was like, yes, of course. So I saw the handwritten documents from Project Blue Book. And that was just going into the library. That wasn't actually in the library. Then when we got in there, I noticed big bookcases of these books, and of course I was drawn to them. And he said he picked out one and he opened it, and it was about angels. And he said, "This is a book about angels." And I could see that, and I was looking at it. I was like, "Wow!" And then I looked at the other bookshelf, and that bookshelf was just as impressive. And then it was about fallen angels. He said, "Oh, this one's about fallen angels." And then he made a joke, and he said, "You can't have one without the other." And I thought that was really interesting.
That does seem to align with what we're talking about, with like the struggle of good and evil.
It does. That's what he said too. And I was actually shocked at that point. I was like, wow. So just, I'm a professor of religion, so I'm like, yeah. I'm right about, my intuition was somehow confirmed.
And by the way, people, I think this should be, I'm not sure if this is totally true, but I believe he was the inspiration for the French character in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
I think so, yeah.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
All this UAP, UFO stuff.
Oh, shit. I don't know. It's something. I don't know what it is. Some of it is like, some people theorize it's like plasma technologies, but they're getting physical signatures on it. You're getting like all the radar return signatures, and you're getting like infrared. I don't fucking know, man. I mean, it's really blows me away. Because I can't say for sure. Like, I believe that other life forms exist. I also believe, I just don't know if it's like, it doesn't make any sense why they're like, let's just hang out, never show ourselves, and just do like really cool, tricky stuff and have people get a bunch of blurry images of it that we can never fucking see.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing. But I don't know what it is, man. I mean, it's either natural phenomenon or it's something that's been here a long time, or they're probes that are triggered by a certain, I don't know, technological escalation in human society. Or they're somehow ours, but that doesn't make any sense either. I don't know, man. I mean, I've seen them. I've seen UFOs, but I might have mentioned it on the show before, but I've seen like the classic like 3 glowing spheres in the distance, kind of moving along, and like a searchlight turning on or a spotlight turning on, and turning off, and then like gliding with no noise in a canyon. I've seen that, and that was awe-inspiring. But you know, some of the footage that you see, you're like, what is that? It just went into the ocean. It just went into the ocean it's still traveling at the same rate that it was traveling in the air. And they're recording it. So it's either like a huge hoax, which doesn't make any sense because people talk, or I don't know, man. Or it's like interdimensional shit. It's, maybe if we are in a simulation, there are like glitches in the simulation, you know, like there's like other things bleeding through, and like we're seeing things that don't have any that don't adhere to the laws of physics because they aren't really in our physical realm in a way. I don't really know, because I just it really baffles me. And then also when the government starts releasing stuff, and then you got a guy going around like, well, you know, I've been cleared by the, you know, whatever, the CIA or whatever, to be able to talk about this and all this stuff. Like, you've been cleared to talk about stuff that you're supposed to not be talking about that's weird. And then I'm like, is it propaganda? Is it like, I don't know, man. It's a tough one, because I grew up like, I love UFOs. Like, I grew up Project Blue Book, watched the series, loved aliens, used to sit in my backyard looking up at the stars, hoping that I would see an alien one day. And then I did see, not aliens, but I saw UAPs or UFOs.
Where were you when you saw that?
I was in Montana. I was like probably 17.
Yeah.
And we were camping and at night, and then we decided to climb a butte in the middle of the night. So we were crossing a big cattle field, and then I was walking, and 2 friends were ahead of me, and I kind of just looked to my right, stopped, looked to my right, and I just saw these in the distance. I don't know how far it would be, but like, you know, they looked like about that big from my perspective. So down a ways, and there were 3 of them. It wasn't one object, because they would change distance from each other and change elevation a little bit, really low. And then at some points, sometimes it would just stop, and you'd see a little beam turn on, turn off, and then it would start to move again. It was really, really weird. I had 2 friends. I kept looking at them. I was like, come here, because I didn't want to not look and then look back and then they weren't there, type of movie shit. But my friends came back, and they looked down, and they described, I didn't even tell them what I was looking at. I said, tell me what you see. They described what I was seeing. I don't know what it was.
Wow.
But I've heard other stories about 3 lights, same kind of shit. When I'm watching like UFO, whatever documentary stuff, it gives me chills, because I'm like, I've seen that. Whatever that is, I've seen that. So I don't know, man. It's like my mind goes all over the place, but there's no definitive. No, because no one's, you know, it's like, unless they land and you're like, oh,
right,
there it is, or we see not the Mexico City alien,
right,
like obviously a joke, not a joke, but whatever it was, a hoax.
Yeah.
Like, unless we get something where it's like, oh shit, what is that? What is this metal? Or, you know, the scientists saying that they found a piece of an alien ship at the bottom of the ocean because this material they can't identify. I don't know. It's weird. I'm excited about it. I think it's kind of interesting, and I'm hopeful, but it's almost like the more information that gets released, the more I'm like, I don't know what to think.
I'm exactly where you are.
Yeah.
I think more than likely that a lot of what we're seeing, a lot of these people are seeing, is some sort of top secret probe with some sort of super sophisticated propulsion system that doesn't rely on a combustion engine. Some completely new style of propulsion system that they've been working on. They've been working on gravity propulsion systems since the 1950s.
True.
They've been at least theorizing these things. And the possibility that someone has come up with something in a drone form that they can pilot like that makes the most sense to me, because they keep spotting these things in areas where the military practices. They keep spotting these things
True.
off the coast of San Diego, off the East Coast, where they have these restricted areas. That's where they're seeing these things. Like, it just makes sense that would be where they would practice these things.
But what's weird about it is that, like, there was that famous UFO crossing incident over the northern, all the states of going from, I think, Seattle or Washington all the way to Idaho, Montana, North Dakota. They were chasing the squadron of unidentified flying objects
When was
in
this?
the 50s.
The 50s.
50s.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that, because
Right.
you do hear about sightings, like even in the 1800s, 1700s. That's the weird thing.
Right.
That's the thing where I'm like, well, if it's true. But I mean, in the 50s, I mean, there's like shots of it. There's people took photographs of these like squadron of glowing
Yeah.
discs, and they were going so fast that jets couldn't keep up with them, so they had to scramble jets at the next base. And they, our baseball team are called the Voyagers, based off of that incident.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, in Great Falls, but like, I don't know. That's the weird thing about it. I mean, I agree with you. I think there is some kind of like propulsion system, and that, you know, is able to like change on a dime and like doesn't necessarily get affected in the way that normal.
So there's probably multiple things going on simultaneously.
That's what
Yeah, I do not doubt that we've been visited. If there is intelligent life that's capable of coming here from somewhere else, of course they would.
I mean,
That's the place you would go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, it seems like, in a way, I just feel like the Earth is kind of like a terrarium. It's like they're just like, let's do a pilot program here, throw some seeds down there,
sure.
monitor it, see how it goes.
Certainly could be.
I mean, some people think the moon is a spaceship.
Well, those might be dumb.
Well, but there's some. Well, are you familiar with the Y-Files? You know those guys, that guy?
Y-Files.
The
What's that?
Y-Files. So it's a YouTube channel. This dude, he basically just recounts stories of paranormal, whether it's occult stuff, spiritual stuff, but not spiritual stuff, but it's like ghost stuff, or aliens, or interdimensional travel, that type of stuff. And then he tells the story and kind of reenacts it. And then at the end, he kind of debunks it, or tries to debunk it. But he seems to be pretty impartial. But he was talking about how, like, when they landed on the moon, they basically did seismic tests, and there was a reverberance that would indicate that it's possibly hollow. And it does sound like a far-fetched thing, but there's some kind of interesting things there. Again, I'm not like a firm believer in it, but if you think of it in a fantastical way, like, what if that was a spaceship that just like they just stopped that spaceship, did some experiments on Earth or whatever, and just left the spaceship there? I don't know. I'm dumb. Hi guys, how are you?
That one's
It's fun to look into.